Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're digging into some fascinating material teaching transcripts. Actually all about, well, how to find that lasting inner satisfaction.
The kind that, having the great job or the perfect relationship doesn't seem to automatically deliver.
Exactly. So our goal here is to pull out the core insights on shifting from being caught up in our thoughts, what the source calls the conditioned mind,
Right, that noisy internal chatter.
to arriving at a state of presence or being. And the promise is this is the way to actually end suffering.
And it kicks off with a really interesting personal story, doesn't it? The speaker had, achieved significant external success.
Yeah, a Cambridge scholarship, I think.
That's right. But realized it meant nothing for his inner peace. His big shift, this transformation, came later, quite suddenly.
Which immediately tells you something important.
Right.
Inner state and outer circumstances, not directly linked.
Not at all. And the teachings dive straight into why. The main trap isn't what happens to us, but this identification with what they call the mind-made self.
The little me.
A little me, exactly. It's described as, like, a fiction, a story the mind creates.
Okay, so if it's a fiction, how does it operate? What does it do?
Its whole game is built on this feeling that something important is missing. Always.
Ah, okay. So it has to keep looking.
Constantly looking, constantly striving for something in the future. Could be enlightenment, could be a promotion, could be finding the one.
It's always next.
Always next. The ego's motto, the source says, is basically seek but do not find. Because if it found, its job would be over.
Wow, okay. So the seeking itself keeps the illusion alive. And the present moment, the now.
Becomes basically irrelevant. Or worse, an obstacle. Just something to get through to reach that imagined better future.
Which is why life can feel so unsatisfying. You're never actually here.
Precisely. You're lost in thought, lost in time planning, regretting, analyzing. The mind becomes this constant time machine.
And that constant mental commentary, that screen of mind, as they call it, it filters everything.
It filters everything to the point where even, say, looking at a tree, you're not really seeing the tree. You're seeing your concept of tree. Everything gets flattened, appearing sort of lifeless through that mental screen.
That sounds incredibly draining. And it seems linked to another key idea in these texts, the pain body. What exactly is that?
Right, the pain body. It's described as an accumulation of old emotional pain, both your own personal residue.
Like past hurts, anger, sadness.
Yeah, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But also, interestingly, collective pain, like an energy field of past suffering that hasn't been resolved.
So it's dormant sometimes, but then it wakes up.
It wakes up periodically, yeah. And when it does, its only goal is to feed, to get more pain.
And how does it feed?
By hijacking your thinking. It takes over your mind and generates thoughts that match its energy, negative, destructive, fearful thoughts.
So you start dwelling on grievances, anxieties.
Exactly. And feeling those emotions, that is the food. That misery sustains it.
So trying to fight it or push it away.
That just feeds it more. That's the paradox. Resistance, judgment, denial, that's like gourmet food for the pain body.
You're strengthening the very thing you're trying to get rid of.
Precisely. And this isn't just personal, remember? The speaker mentions feeling this collective pain energy in certain places, like parts of Europe, Russia.
Wow. Like a heavy atmosphere?
Almost palpable, yeah.
Yeah.
A density from history, from unresolved collective trauma.
That really puts suffering in a different context. But the source also suggests, kind of surprisingly, that suffering has actually served a purpose.
It has, historically. Terrible suffering, loss, trauma. It sometimes acted like a harsh teacher. He could crack open that dense shell of the egoic mind, forcing people into the raw reality of the present moment when nothing else would.
Like a wake-up call.
A very brutal wake-up call, often. But the good news, the core message here is that we don't need more suffering to wake up now. We can choose a different state of consciousness voluntarily.
Okay, so how do we choose? How do we make that shift? This brings us to the practical stuff, the techniques for getting back to the now.
Right, the portals to presence. The aim isn't to stop thinking entirely, but to realize there's awareness behind the thinking, to create space.
And the first technique is surprisingly simple.
Almost deceptively simple.
Yeah.
Conscious breathing.
Just paying attention to breathing. We do it all the time anyway.
But we're usually not aware of it. The technique is to deliberately shift your attention away from the stream of thoughts and just feel the sensation of the breath coming in and going out.
Focusing on the physical feeling.
Yeah. Even for just, say, 10 or 15 seconds. Doing that creates a little gap in the mental noise.
Ah, a
A
space.
space, a moment of stillness where you're not lost in thought. You've briefly disidentified from the thinker.
Okay, that's one anchor. What about the second one? Inner body awareness. That sounds a bit more esoteric.
It's actually described as quite pleasant. It's about feeling the aliveness within your body, moving attention from just being in your head and letting it pervade your whole inner space.
What does that feel like? Not like focusing on aches and pains, I assume.
No, it's subtler. Often it's felt as a kind of faint tingling or warmth, or just a general sense of aliveness, maybe in your hands, your feet, your chest.
Feeling the life energy itself.
Pretty much, yeah, feeling the energy field of the body directly. It's very grounding, very anchoring in the now-see picture. The more you inhabit your body this way, the less room there is for anxious thoughts about past or future.
And there's even a suggestion this helps with health, like if you feel an illness starting.
The idea is that by bringing intense presence, that conscious aliveness, to the area where you feel the first signs, maybe a scratchy throat or a headache, you can sometimes dissolve the imbalance before it takes hold.
Flooding it with awareness.
Kind of like turning up the light, yeah.
Mhm.
But beyond these attention techniques, the ultimate practice the source emphasizes is surrender, acceptance.
Okay, this is where it gets tricky for me. Accepting something really negative or painful, doesn't that mean giving up? Being passive?
It sounds passive, but the teaching frames it as the opposite. It's radical openness to reality as it is in this moment. Because this moment is the only reality there is.
So accepting a feeling, like sadness or fear.
It means allowing it to be there without resisting it or judging it, saying yes to the feeling itself. When you do that, the energy that was locked into that painful form, it loses its rigidity.
It transforms.
It transforms almost instantly back into pure presence, pure awareness.
Yeah.
Because the resistance, the no that kept it solid, is gone.
You stop feeding the form with negativity.
Exactly. And the example given is Stephen Hawking.
Right. His physical limitations were extreme.
About as extreme as you can imagine, form-wise.
Yeah.
But through, apparently, a deep acceptance of what is the reality of his physical state, he somehow transcended those limitations mentally and intellectually. Surrender didn't trap him. It freed him to go beyond the form.
That's powerful. Okay, so this presence, this acceptance, how does it play out in daily life in the world of form? We're not meant to just sit and meditate all day.
No, absolutely not. The world of form activities, relationships, nature is meant to be enjoyed. But true enjoyment, the source suggests, only really happens when you know yourself as something deeper than form.
So how do we practice this out there?
Through the little doings.
Ah, yes, the small things, like making tea.
Making tea, opening a door, washing your hands. Bringing awareness to those simple actions so the action itself becomes the focus, not just a means to an end.
Instead of rushing through washing dishes thinking out the next thing.
You just feel the water, the soap, the movement. The quality of the action improves, and the doing itself becomes fulfilling rather than just a chore on the way to some future goal.
Okay, that makes sense. And then relationships. The source calls them a major spiritual practice. Why? Because that's where the ego and pain body really flare up.
That's usually where the rubber meets the road, yes. Conflict often comes directly from identifying with our pain body, or with fixed mental positions, our story about ourselves and others.
And forgiveness comes into this. How is that defined here?
Forgiveness, or maybe non-judgment, is about not mistaking someone's conditioned behavior, their unconscious patterns, their pain body, acting out for who they truly are.
So not taking their ego personally.
Essentially, yes. Seeing the human conditioning, the unconsciousness moving through them, rather than labeling them as just that difficult person.
Because we do that, don't we? We create these mental concepts of people.
Oh, constantly. Especially people we know well, family, partners, colleagues. We carry around this fixed mental image, this bundle of judgments and past experiences.
And we react to the image, not the actual person in front of us.
Exactly. We're talking to a ghost, a mental construct. We're not seeing the deeper reality of the other being. That's why interactions can become so stuck and repetitive.
So seeing beyond the concept is forgiveness.
It's seeing the conditioning for what it is and looking past it, or through it, to the consciousness, the beingness in the other person.
Wow. So every single interaction is a choice point.
A choice point. The source puts it starkly. Every person you meet becomes a witness for either Christ or the ego, meaning do you see their true essence or just their conditioned shell?
And how you see them reflects your own state.
It absolutely does. If you see only ego, you're reinforcing your own egoic perception. If you can sense the deeper presence in them, you're affirming that presence in yourself. It's the ultimate mirror.
Which leads us to the core realization, the liberation itself. It's knowing yourself as this formless awareness.
Yes, as the formless essence, pure consciousness, the space in which everything happens. Realizing that, on that level of being, you are already whole, already complete.
So the seeking naturally stops
Yeah.
because there's nothing missing.
There's nothing missing on the level of being. The frantic search for fulfillment ends because you've found the source of fulfillment within yourself right now.
And this shift is happening more now because the old ways, the old consciousness,
Mhm.
just isn't working anymore.
It's becoming increasingly dysfunctional, yeah.
Mhm.
The egoic consciousness, based on separation and conflict, is creating more and more problems globally and personally. There's almost a built-in self-destruct mechanism pushing for this transformation.
But there's a final warning, isn't there? The ego is sneaky.
Very sneaky. It can even lash onto the spiritual path itself.
How so?
Oh, spiritual comparison, I'm more present than they are.
Yeah.
Spiritual materialism, collecting spiritual experiences or knowledge, striving for more enlightenment, which just keeps the seeking pattern going.
So the real test isn't necessarily how peaceful you feel on a retreat.
Probably not. The ultimate test of how stable and continuous your presence really is often comes in your most challenging, most intimate relationships, the places where your deepest conditioning gets poked.
Where those old buttons get put.
Exactly. That's where you see if your presence holds or if you get pulled back into reactivity, into the old story of me.
Which brings us to that great final challenge, often attributed to Ram Dass.
If you think you're so enlightened, go and spend a week with your parents.
Right. Because that environment will likely show you pretty quickly whether you're truly resting in awareness or still caught in those deep-seated conditioned patterns.
It's the crucible. Can you remain present amidst the familiar triggers? Or does the little me jump back into the driver's seat? Until you can navigate that, the seeking, in some form, probably continues.
A powerful place to leave it. So until the next deep dive, keep practicing that presence. Maybe try accepting just one small thing you normally resist and see if you can talk to the person, not the label you've put on them.